And that was a lie, correct?
Yes.
Was that a lie? Did you lie?
I did not intentionally.
You saw McCabe on her phone, but you did not hear Karen ask Jennifer to Google anything.
Correct.
So what you told the grand jurors was in fact false.
I misunderstood Mr. Lalley's question.
Got it.
This is Kerri Roberts, a key witness in the Karenread trial. Her testimony was crucial in front of the grand jury, who ultimately decided to indict Karenread, currently on her second trial for the death of former police officer John O'Keefe. Kerri and John were friends, and during her testimony last year, she came off as a straightforward, believable witness who showed deep emotion when talking about the victim of the case. This year, Kerri took the stand as the second witness, but her testimony was a disaster. She was caught in so many omissions, half-truths, and even straight-up lies under oath. You don't believe me? Here are the receipts.
All right, Ms. McCabe, Ms. Roberts, you're
Technically? Yes, technically.
Ms. Roberts?
Okay, so remember, jurors, I said earlier, comments of counsel are not evidence and you have to disregard them. Ask a question.
Thank you, Your Honor. What do you mean technically?
Technically, I was under oath and I did not hear Karen asked Jen to Google it.
And yet under oath.
But I knew it happened at that
And yet
time.
under oath you said you did.
Correct. I didn't know it was that you heard, so I was explaining what happened in the back of the car.
I see. So you just ignored the part, literally, the part of the question where he said, what did you hear her say? That's what the testimony is.
I heard and I didn't hear it. I obviously got the question wrong because I did not hear anybody ask about a Google search.
Well, I know that's what you're saying now. I get that. But when you were asked, what, if anything, did she ask Miss McCabe while they were sitting in the back of the cruiser that you heard, your immediate answer was, at one point, she asked her to Google hypothermia and how long dash Google hypothermia, end quote. Correct?
Correct.
That was your answer.
Yes.
Correct?
To a question I misunderstood.
When Alanjackson questions Kerri about her lie, she squints her eyes and moves her face up and sideways, a cluster that together could indicate anger, contempt, disgust, and even disrespect.
Was I shown anything?
Videos, testimony, transcripts,
No.
reports?
No,
Nothing?
I don't think so.
Okay.
We went over my testimony on the screen.
A single shoulder shrug can be a sign of deception, especially when paired with a conflicting statement.
And then I just talked about my testimony from the last time.
Okay. When you say you went over your testimony on screen, what do you mean?
We watched my testimony from the first trial on a TV screen.
Okay, so you were shown something. You were shown a video of your prior testimony.
During this statement, we see suppression, withholding the truth, getting away with something, and eye blocking.
Talked about my testimony from the last time.
Okay. When you say you went over your testimony on screen, you're driving your SUV, correct?
Correct.
You've previously testified that when you arrived at One Meadows at that moment, that once that SUV, the Lexus SUV, had pulled in and you pulled in behind the Lexus, you got out of the Lexus, sorry, you got out of your SUV, they got out of the Lexus, and that's a point at which Karen showed you the back of her taillight and said something to the effect of, do you think I hit him? Do you think I hit him? Oh my God, do you think I hit him? Do you recall that?
I recall saying I didn't know if it was when we were coming or going, but she did point out the taillight.
Okay. When you previously testified under oath, your quote was, quote, Karen pulls in and I pull in behind her.
Mr. Jackson.
Page and line numbers when
Yes.
offering statements.
Sure. Did you testify, quote, Karen pulls in and I pull in behind her, period. When we get out and Karen is now showing us the back of the car saying, my taillight, do you think I hit him? Do you think I hit him? Oh my God, do you guys think I hit him? Question mark. End quote. Is that how you testified?
May I see it?
Do you have something I can look at to refresh my memory? Can I see it?
May I see it?
Can I see it?
May I see it? Thank you. Do you have the pages after this?
I'm sure I do.
Because in the pages after this, I say,
My question, Ms. Roberts, is that quote that I just said, is that accurate? You see it in the
yes, it is.
okay. May I approach?
Yes.
What I'm looking for is still not here, because I did say I wasn't sure if it was
Yes.
before or after.
Ms. Roberts, you do have to wait for questions.
When you gave this testimony, you were in front of a grand jury, correct?
I'm not sure which one that is.
Do you remember testifying in front of a grand jury on April 26th, 2022.
Yes.
About 2 years ago.
Yes.
Sorry, 3 years ago. You were under oath at the time. Is that right?
Yes.
Things were fresher in your mind at that time than they are now, 3.5 years later, I'm guessing. Right?
Yes.
Okay. You were asked the question to describe the circumstance when you arrived at One Meadows. Is that right?
Yes.
And the answer that you gave was, quote, we pulled into it's a driveway. There's 2 cars and then 2 cars, and then a single. So John's car is there. Karen pulls in and I pull in behind her. When we get out, and Karen is now showing us the back of the car, saying, my taillight, do you think I hit him? Do you think I hit him? Oh my God, do you guys think I hit him? That was your testimony at the time, correct?
Yes.
And just to be clear, I'd like to take a look at a quick video that you may or may not have seen before. We'll find out. Your Honor, I'd like to have this. Actually, this has already been previously marked as Exhibit 12C as in Charlie.
Okay.
And it's a short clip. So I'll play the entire clip with court's permission.
Okay.
Let's go ahead and take a look at that video. Can you pause? Do you recognize what's depicted in the video?
Yeah, that's when we arrived at John's house.
Okay. And who's the person with the plaid red pants?
That is Jen.
And who's the person that's just rounding the back of the car in front?
That is Karen.
What is the car in front?
That's Karen's SUV.
That's the Lexus SUV.
Yes, it is.
Behind that Lexus SUV, Ms. Roberts, is there another car?
That's my car.
And who's getting out of that car?
I am.
Okay. And this is the point that you were describing at least in the grand jury testimony at that time.
Yes.
This is the time that you're describing.
That I thought it was when we walked in.
This is the time that you were describing, right? When you arrive at the scene.
Yes.
Or, sorry, arrive at One Meadows.
Yes.
Okay. Let's go ahead and play this through. Okay. You can stop it. And you can bring the lights up. You saw the interaction between all 3 of you and the vehicles, correct?
Yep.
At any point, did anybody stop and take a look at the taillight or the rear end of the car?
Not when we were entering the house like I thought, but when we came out.
Okay. And there's no video of that.
I'm sorry?
There's no video of that.
No, I don't believe so.
Right. So the video that does exist describes nearly exactly the time that you testified that y'all stopped at the back of the taillight and Karen said, look, my taillight's broken. Oh my God, do you think I hit him?
Correct.
Okay. And that obviously was incorrect.
It was incorrect.
So your memory was faulty about that incident, that part of that incident at least.
It happened on the way out of the house.
So your memory was faulty about that part of the incident that you testified to at the grand jury.
Yes.
Okay. And you did your best, I'm sure, Ms. Roberts, to be as full-throated as possible, to provide them with as much detailed information as you could and to be as honest as you could.
Yes.
I mean, you weren't going to lie to these police officers, right?
No.
No.
There's a big swallow here, which could be a sign of stress, anxiety, and again, the lemon face sour
You
taste.
were interviewed on January 29th. You've already testified to that, correct? By
Yes.
Troopers Dunn and my memory's failing me now.
There were 2. I don't know who they were.
Okay, I'm sure it's in my notes somewhere. 2 individuals that interviewed you on January 29th, correct?
Yes.
Obviously, things were very, very fresh in your mind at that point.
Yes, but I believe I was in shock. So
In shock.
believe I was in shock. So
State of shock. I was in a state of shock.
The incident had just happened.
yes.
Okay, and you were asked to recount certain of the specifics about the incident that you had just experienced, not days or weeks, but just hours before, correct?
Yes.
In your very first conversation with those 2 troopers on January 29th, you didn't mention anything about a taillight or a cracked taillight, or
No,
you
I did
haven't
not.
seen a cracked taillight, did you?
No, I did not.
Okay.
I
You
didn't
then-
want to accuse anybody of anything.
You were then interviewed on February 1st, 2022, a few days later, correct?
I don't know.
Does that
I
sound
don't know the
right?
exact date. I was interviewed again, but I don't know the exact date.
Okay.
Yes. Did Connor Keefe write that report?
I'm sorry?
Did Connor Keefe write that report?
Trooper Kathleen Prince wrote the report.
Okay.
Does that matter? No?
Nope.
Okay. Does that refresh your recollection that you did discuss the taillight at that time?
Yes.
And did you tell Trooper Prince and Trooper Keefe that you noticed the back right taillight in the middle, quote, in the middle, your words, was broken and a piece of the metal encasement was pushed forward?
Yes.
Okay. You didn't say the taillight was completely shattered, correct?
Correct.
You didn't say that the entire lens was missing, correct?
Correct.
You said it was broken in the middle. Is that
Yes.
right? And then you described today that a square piece was missing.
Yes. That's the piece I was referring to in the middle.
Just in the middle of the taillight, though. That was how you described it.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. Nelson,
No, I don't remember the date.
would it refresh your recollection if you looked at a text message between the 2 of you about this, the subject of the ring camera?
Sure.
Okay.
Do I need to know the date?
May I approach? I need to know the date.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
You understand the importance of providing information to law enforcement as a witness to law enforcement, free of influence from other people.
Yeah.
In other words, you want to be as accurate and as independent as possible.
Yes.
And that's because if your statement is somehow, or if your communications with law enforcement are somehow influenced by others, it might call into question the credibility of the person providing the statement.
Objection.
Can you answer that question, Ms. Roberts?
No.
Okay, next question.
Sure. A statement that's been colored by influence from someone else would lack credibility, right?
Objection.
Sustained.
I'm sorry?
Was it recorded in any way? Take
I
recorded on?
don't think so.
The troopers were taking notes, obviously.
I believe so.
During your conversation with, and I'm jumping around a bit, so I apologize. During your conversation or conversations with Mr. Brennan and the DA's, members of the DA's office in preparation for your testimony, were any of those interviews recorded?
No.
Was anybody taking notes?
No.
No, none of the DA's were actually taking notes, the ADAs?
I didn't look around the table to see if anyone was taking notes, and I didn't see them taking notes.
No pads and pens on the table?
There's a lot of stuff on the table, but I didn't see anybody taking notes.
Okay.
I spoke to Jen McCabe the entire day.
Okay. Including just before that interview.
I don't know.
Did you tell Jen McCabe that you were about to be interviewed?
No.
Did you tell her at some point did you text her and tell her that the officers had arrived?
I don't think so.
Did she text you back and say, call me right after?
I don't know.
Okay. During the course of that interview, when the incident was still pretty fresh in your mind, you indicated that at about 5 a.m. you got a call from Karen Read indicating that John never came home and that she was worried, correct?
Correct.
You also indicated that she was worried that John may be walking and may have gotten hit by a plow. You relayed that to the officers.
Yes.
You indicated that you met up with Karen Read and Jennifer McCabe at Jennifer McCabe's house, and Karen was hysterical and worried that something had happened to John.
Yes.
And Chico told you at the end of the interview?
I don't recall. It's not refreshing. I'm not remembering it. Even reading it, I'm not remembering it.
I see. Okay, fair enough. So as you sit here, the details about what you told or what those two officers told you are not fresh in your mind, and nothing's refreshing your recollection about that.
Right.
Okay, but you do remember the basics of what I just described in that conversation with those two troopers.
I mean, they asked me what happened. I told them, but I was also in shock.
I was in a state of shock.
You never said during the course of that interview that my client called you at 5 o'clock in the morning just hours earlier and said he's dead and then hung up, correct?
No, I don't believe I said it at that point. I did not remember that until a couple of days later.
I see. In fact, when you were asked about that particular statement, when you were asked about that particular series of events, that never came to your mind.
No.
That literally, the first words out of Karen Read's mouth, according to you now, is he's dead and then hung up.
Correct.
When you heard that, you didn't take that to mean that she killed him.
No.
Of course not. She was panicked, correct?
Yes.
You did add that statement to Trooper Dunn and Trooper Chico was anything about the taillight either, correct?
Not.
Okay. And you also didn't say anything about any sort of a Google search or the praying that you talked about in the back of the patrol car, anything like that?
No. Okay. I don't know. I don't remember. We were putting a timeline together.
So you two were actually prepping, if that's a valid term, prepping for your interview, putting a timeline together, correct?
We were putting a timeline together at the request of Mrs. O'Keefe.
And Jennifer McCabe was helping you with the timeline, and you were helping her with the timeline.
Yes, we were putting together the events of what had happened.
So she was helping you, and you were helping her, yes or no?
Yes.
Okay. So both of you were assisting in each other's memories, correct?
Yes.
I remember this, and you remember this, and you're okay, now I remember this, correct?
Yep.
Obviously, that would help influence your memory, going
Yes.
over the event with someone else, correct?
Yep.
So what's on that timeline, you would agree, is not completely independent, your memory. It's a combination of your memory and Jennifer McCabe's memory. Isn't that right?
Yes.
And then it was after that, that this timeline was coordinated between the two of you, that you actually told your second story to Trooper Prince. And when I say second story, I mean as of the second time you were interviewed on February 1st as opposed to January 29th. Is that right?
Yes.
What is that?
Did you ever become aware of text messages that Jennifer McCabe was sending to others in a group chat talking about you in that interview?
No.
You were never told or became aware that she sent text messages to a group as she listened in on your interview?
No. I don't think she could listen in. She wasn't anywhere near me.
You weren't aware that are you aware as you sit here that she sent a text message that said she's telling them everything, all this stuff?
Sustained.
Have you ever been provided a text message or told about a text message that perhaps Jennifer McCabe was sending to a group?
No.
Listening to your suggesting that she was listening to your interview?
No.
The third time you told your story was later that night in a telephonic interview. Is that right? With Trooper Proctor?
I requested to speak to Trooper Proctor because I had remembered the very first time I spoke with Karen that morning, and I wanted to make sure it was recorded.
Okay, that wasn't my question. My question was, did you have another telephonic conversation with Trooper Proctor, yes or no?
You said that night, but it wasn't that night.
When was it?
I think it was earlier that day.
Okay. Meaning, but it was after the interview with Trooper Prince.
I don't think so.
Think it was beforehand?
I think it was beforehand.
you were still with Jennifer McCabe when that call took place, correct?
I was in her house. I was not with her. I stepped away to speak to him by myself.
In her home at 12 Country Lane.
Correct.
Who else was with you other than Jennifer McCabe in the house?
Her sister was there writing down the timeline for
Who's
us.
that?
Her sister, Denise.
Denise? So she was scribing the timeline as you and Jennifer McCabe were creating
She
it?
was writing it down as we were remembering things.
Right. And the three of you were doing this together, sort of communally.
Yes.
She would say something, then you would say something, then it would spark something that she would say, and back and forth, correct?
Yes.
How is it that Trooper Proctor got a hold of you? Did you call him or did he call you?
I think he was on the phone with Jen and I asked to speak to him.
So Trooper Proctor got a hold of you through talking to Jen McCabe.
Well, I asked to speak to him, but yes.
Right. Was that interview recorded, to your knowledge?
I don't know.
The fourth time you met with police was February 2nd, the very next day, at about 12:08 p.m. Is that right?
I don't remember.
Do you remember signing a consent form for your phone?
Yes.
Was that the next day after this interview with Trooper Prince and Trooper?
I don't know what day it was. It was right after Karen was arraigned for the first time. Jen and I met with them and both handed our phones over willingly.
So you just answered my question. So when you met with police, whatever the date was, it was a few days later, you met with police. The fourth time, you were still in the presence of Jennifer McCabe when you met with police.
Yes.
And handed your phone over. Is that right?
Yes.
She handed her phone over. Is that right?
Yes.
And the two of you were together when you signed your consent forms. Is that right?
Yes.
Who was in that ante room with you just before you gave your testimony?
My husband and Jen and Matt McCabe.
So Jennifer McCabe was with you yet again just before you gave official testimony under oath concerning this case and concerning the incident.
Correct.
Ms. Roberts, when was the last time you spoken to Jennifer McCabe before you testified in this trial?
This morning.
Did you discuss your testimony?
No.
So you and Ms. McCabe, who became friends because
Correct.
of this incident,
Correct.
talked as recently as this morning before your testimony.
Correct.
And your testimony now is that you did not discuss anything about what you're doing here
No.
or what you're
I
going to
did
testify
not. She
to.
called to wish me good luck today.
When did you talk to her the last time before this morning?
I don't know, maybe a couple days ago. I don't remember.
Within days of you taking the stand yesterday, correct?
Yes.
Did you say that you did or did not recall texting with Jen McCabe during the course of that January 29th interview with state police? Do you recall that or no?
No.
Okay.
During the interview, I didn't text anybody.
Okay. Are you saying you didn't text anybody or you don't recall?
I don't recall. I don't think I had I wouldn't be texting somebody if I was being interviewed by the state police.
Right. Okay. Would it refresh your recollection to take a look at a report of text messages?
Sure.
May I approach you?
Yes.
Did you take a look at this document?
Yes.
Does that refresh your recollection that there were two text messages at around the time of your interview with those two troopers?
No.
Do you recall, as you sit here, texting Ms. McCabe that the state troopers were arriving or they're just getting there?
No.
Or do you recall Ms. McCabe texting you anything back about calling me after?
No.
Okay. Did you, in fact, different question, did you, in fact, call Ms. McCabe right after the interview and talk to her?
I don't know.
Have you ever testified that at the scene, Ms. Reed was seated in the back of a patrol car along with Jennifer McCabe, and you were standing just outside the car, and there was an interaction among the three?
Yes.
Have you ever testified, or have you ever stated in any particular, that during that interaction, Karen asked the three of you to pray?
Yes.
Have you ever said or testified that during that interaction where you're seated, where they're seated in the back of the patrol car, and Ms. Reed asked you to pray, that Ms. Reed said to Jennifer McCabe, Google hypothermia?
No.
You've never said that?
I've never said that.
Grand jury on April 26th, is that right? April 26th, 2022?
I do not know.
Right? Does that sound right, April 26th, 2022?
I have no idea.
Late April 2022, does that sound right?
I don't know. It was 2022.
You testified under oath, correct?
Yes.
Swore the same oath that you swore here?
Yes.
Double swore. Truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, and no perjury, is that right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I needed. Is it your testimony that you have never said that Karen told Jen to Google hypothermia, or that you don't recall saying that?
I don't recall saying that.
Would it refresh your recollection to look at a portion of your grand jury testimony from that day?
It might.
May I approach?
Yes.
Thank you. Yep. I testified. I didn't hear it, but I was told that she was asked to Google it.
You testified under oath at the grand jury that at some point Karen was in back of the police cruiser, correct?
Yep.
Objection.
No, I'll allow that question.
Does that refresh your recollection as to what you told the grand jury?
Yes.
And isn't it true that at some point during the course of your testimony under oath, you said that Karen was in the back of the police cruiser?
Yes.
And then you went on to describe that Karen and Jen and I were standing outside and she made us all start holding hands and starting to pray.
Yes.
Meaning what the she being Karen Read, correct?
Yes.
And at this point, they had lifted John up and taken him onto the gurney, correct? That's
don't
what you
know.
described.
I don't recall.
I'm going to do this again, just so we're clear. Yeah, approach.
Yes.
Sure. Just approach the bottom of the page.
At the bottom?
At the bottom, last couple of paragraphs.
Okay. Yep. I say I think, so I'm not
I have a
positive.
question for you.
Okay.
Is that fresh recollection?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. And you testified basically that you think, at least that's what you were telling the grand jurors, that you
Yep.
think that was the point at which they lifted John up
Yes.
and moved him into the ambulance, correct? Is that right?
Yes.
And then you were asked a question, what, if anything, did she, Ms. Reed, ask Ms. McCabe while they were sitting in the back of the cruiser that you heard, correct?
Objection.
Do you recall that?
I did not hear the question about Google being asked.
That's not my question. May I ask? May I inquire?
Just repeat that question.
Sure. Isn't it true that you were next asked by Mr. Lally in front of the grand jury, quote, what, if anything, did she, Ms. Reed, ask Ms. McCabe while they were sitting in the back of the cruiser that you heard, end quote? Remember being asked that question?
No. Okay.
Yes.
Does that refresh your recollection? That was the question you were asked?
Yes.
Okay. And in response to that question, you stated, quote, at one point she asked her to Google hypothermia and how long Google hypothermia, correct?
Mhm.
I'm sorry?
Yes.
That was very detailed, you'll agree, but that's a very detailed and specific recount of an event. You recounted where you were, back of a cruiser, or they were in the back of a cruiser, correct?
Yep.
You reported the time, it was right around the time that you thought they were lifting John up and scooped him up onto the gurney, correct?
Yep. I thought it was about that time. I wasn't sure.
Location,
I'm sorry, I didn't get that answer. You were talking over each other.
that's my mistake.
What was your answer, Ms.
I
Roberts?
thought it was about the time they lifted him up, but I wasn't sure.
You were very detailed about who was there. It was you, it was Jen, it was my client, Karen
Yes.
Read, correct? Is that right?
Yes.
You're so detailed that you talked about where you were standing next to the cruiser open door, correct?
Yes.
What the others were doing, holding hands and praying, is that right?
Yes.
And the actual words used, you're as detailed about all of that as the actual words used. She asked her to Google hypothermia and how long, then you stopped, Google hypothermia, end quote, correct?
Correct.
You'll agree, at least for that purpose, you painted a very, very detailed picture in front of the grand jury, didn't you?
Yeah.
Except it's not true, is it?
I did not hear her ask that. I was told she was asked that. In
The
the,
answer to my question, Ms. Roberts, and I'm not a trick question, what you told the grand jurors was not true. You never heard her, my client, ask anyone to Google anything, did you?
I did not.
And yet, that's what you testified to under oath, under penalty of perjury, in front of the grand jury, didn't you?
I did.
And the reason you did that, the reason that you said that false statement, was because someone told you to say it, correct?
Object.
Is that, I'm going to let her answer.
Nobody told me to say it. I knew it happened at that time,
How did you
which
know
is why
it
I said
happened?
it.
How did you know it happened, Ms. Roberts, if no one told you it happened?
Because we wrote a timeline. We already spoke about
So
that.
the timeline that Jennifer McCabe helped you with, that influenced your testimony in front of the grand jury, correct? Obviously.
I was telling what happened in the back of the cruiser.
The timeline
can answer.
you wrote,
So when you ask a question, let her answer, okay?
the timeline you wrote, that Jennifer McCabe's help influenced your testimony to testify in front of the grand jurors to a statement that you never heard, correct?
Yes.
You were later asked about that statement in another investigation, by another investigator or set of investigators, correct?
I don't know.
Were you interviewed by a different law enforcement agency, a separate law enforcement agency from the Massachusetts State Police at any time?
Yes.
And you were told that to lie to those agents would be a crime, correct?
Yes.
Punishable by prison.
I was not told that.
They asked you whether or not you heard Karen Read ever say anything to Jennifer McCabe about Googling anything, correct?
I don't know.
Isn't it true that you told them what you've just now told us, which is, I did not hear Karen Read ask Jennifer McCabe to conduct any Google searches.
I don't recall.
And that was a lie, correct?
Yes.
Was that a lie? Did you lie?
I did not intentionally.
But you did.
And
Not intentionally.
okay, that's the end of
Understood
this.
the question, Mr. Jackson.
All right. Is there any other question, or was that
I
it?
didn't hear what you just said.
I said I misunderstood the question, Mr. Jackson.
That's what you're saying now, correct?
That's what happened.
Thank you for watching, guys. Bianca MMM, your go-to place for mind meditation and motivation to elevate your life and keep you entertained. I'm passionate about exploring the human mind and psychology, and here we dive into court proceedings, body language analysis, and sprinkle in a bit of humor along the way. You will also find content to boost your personal growth physically and mentally, featuring quick meditation techniques and uplifting messages to kickstart your day. Your support means the world to me. Until next time, take care and stay positive.
You saw McCabe on her phone, but you did not hear Karen ask Jennifer to Google anything.
Correct.
So what you told the grand jurors was in fact false.
I misunderstood Mr. Lally question.
Got it. So your memory was faulty about that incident, that part of that incident at least.
It happened on the way out of the house.
So your memory was faulty about that part of the incident that you testified to at the grand jury.
Yes,
Okay. And that obviously was incorrect.
it was incorrect.